Hi everybody, this is Oksana. In this video, we're going to be making this fun little pendant. It uses all-round wire and it has a little dangly bead here. And I'll also tell you how I made this version. It just has a round bead instead of this dangly bead, and it turned out a little bit smaller and the bail's a little bit different. Those are the only differences. So if you want to see how I made this, just keep watching. We're going to be using two types of wire in this video. It is round copper wire from riogrande.com, and we have the thicker gauge here, 20 gauge. You could also use 18 gauge, especially if you wanted to make this pendant a little bit larger. That would be a sturdier wire to use, but I'm making mine quite small, so I'm sticking with 20 gauge. And then 26 gauge is the thinner wire that we're going to be using for the weaving, specifically weaving the bail, and then at the end for attaching the bead as well. If you wanted to use half round wire instead, you could use 24 or 22 gauge half round wire and just wrap that around the bail if you did not want to do any weaving. This is my little bead that I'm going to be using. It's just drilled here at the top. You can kind of see from side to side, little briolette, I think it's called. But you can use any bead. You can even just use a normal round bead. It's totally up to you. These are the tools that I'll be using in this video. I have these pliers and wire cutters from Swanstrom. They came in a set. And then I have these smaller pliers and round nose pliers as well from Lindstrom. The regular pliers are RX 7890 and the round nose pliers are RX 7590. Now you don't need both sets of pliers. These are kind of fine point and these are a little bit thicker and wider. You definitely don't need both. I just kind of started using these and then I realized that I need these, so I ended up using both in this video, but really something like this would be more than adequate. This is my piece of wire here that I cut, that 20 gauge wire, and it's about 17 inches long. And I'm going to be bringing the ends together like this, which basically just kind of folds it in half. Just kind of gently fold it so you can see where the middle is. Now you can try this with different shapes. The shape that I'm going to be doing is just having kind of like a point here on the bottom and then having it bent around something rounded. So like basically a round shape but with a point on the bottom. Kind of like a leaf shape, I guess you could say. So I've made my little point here, and for bending, I'm going to bend it around this ring mandrel, but anything round would work, like a makeup brush or a marker even. So I'm probably gonna go here to about a size 6. And what I'm gonna do is just press and bend. Sorry if it's hard to see. And then I'm going to remove it and take a look at my shape that was formed. So this is the shape that I was going for, but feel free to make your shape different if you'd like. And what we need to do now is get these wires ready to make our bail with. So I'm just going to come in here with my pliers and I'm just going to press on them like this. Or you can individually bend each wire upwards. Once they're facing up, then we'll be ready to weave our bail. But also, if you want to hammer this frame, you will need something to hammer on, like this iron block that I have. I just bought it from a craft store many, many years ago. And then the other thing you would need, of course, is a hammer. This is a jewelry type of hammer. It's called a chasing hammer. It has a flat edge and a domed edge. And all you do is just kind of gently hammer around that frame. All right, and as you can see, it kind of has a slightly flatter look to the wire, but most importantly, it feels firmer because it's dead soft wire, so it's easy to bend by hand, which we need to be able to bend it easily by hand, but that also makes it a little bit more fragile, and hammering the frame makes it a little bit stronger. So now we're ready to weave our bail, which is what our 26 gauge wire is for. You could also use 28 gauge as well. I forgot to mention that. So this is the weaving pattern that I'll demonstrate, but feel free to use another weaving pattern if you have a favorite one that you like to use. So I'm putting my wire through the middle in between these two wires, then I'm grabbing it here, just kind of squishing it between my fingers to keep it steady. And let me zoom in a little bit. I'm going to go up. That forms a loop around the bottom wire. Now I'm going to bring it around. So it's going all the way up and then over that top wire. And now I'm going to bring it in between the two wires again. So that makes a loop around that top wire. And now I'm going to bring it up and over and down across, and down across both of the wires like that. So then it starts over. So I'm bringing it in between the two wires and down, and there's our loop around the bottom wire. Now I'm bringing it over the top wire and in between, and there's our loop over the top wire, and then I'm bringing it up and over and just down across both. So that's the pattern: a loop around the bottom wire, a loop around the top wire, and then down across both. So I'll do that a few more times, but I'll also link a video for you where I go over this in great detail. So if you need a slower, more detailed video on this weaving pattern, then feel free to watch that video. So a loop around the bottom, a loop around the top, and down across both. So bottom, top, and down across both. So I'm just going to do that off camera for a little bit, since this needs to be about 3/4 of an inch to be our bail. Alright, so it's about 3/4 of an inch. So this little tail end, we're going to trim it. So here on the back is where you want that wire end to remain, and we're just going to press down on it so it is not sticking up, like so. Let's just tighten up this wrap a little bit. So my wrap ends after it's been wrapped around a single wire, so it's here. And what I'm going to do is bend this into my bail shape by holding it here with my pliers and bending it. You can bend around something like a pencil, etc., if that helps you. I actually really like bending it by hand, and what you're trying to do is get the end of the wrap to line up with the beginning of the wrap, like so. And then you can kind of close that up. And then we're going to take this wire and we're going to wrap it around in its entirety, just around the whole bail, like so. And then we're going to take it, I'm going to use this wire here and wrap it around a single wire, so one of these two wires. So I'm wrapping it once and 2 times, one more time, and 3 times. Okay, so here's what that looks like. You can see the loop has been connected. That single wire is going across the front, and then here it is wrapping 3 times around just that singular wire there. And now I'm going to trim it, but leave a little end so that I can press on the end, and it will be going this way, like inwards. You can separate these wires. So we're going to get rid of the wire end, and it's facing away from us like that. And now what we're going to do is we are going to just kind of hold this area like this with our pliers, and ooh, I'm hitting my camera. And we're going to bend these wires to the sides like this. And now take a look. Ooh, looks like my bail got tilted. Take a look that the wires are roughly in the same place. So this one needed to be a little bit higher. Gonna bend them forward, and you want it to be symmetrical from the front. Okay, so this is still the back. Here's our wires bending forward. And now here is the front of our pendant, and here are the wires coming forward in equal locations here. All right, so I'm gonna do 1 wire at a time. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna press the wire down like so. And I'm going to make a little loop. Now you can use your round nose pliers for this if you want, or if it's easier for you to make the loop by hand, you can do that as well. So I'm going to demonstrate making the loop by hand here like this. And then if you want to use your round nose pliers, you could have used them to form the loop, or you can also come in with them afterwards and kind of adjust the loop like so. And we want this to just roughly be here in the top half area of the pendant. So now I'm doing the same thing here on the other end. So I'm trying to keep it as symmetrical as possible to the other loop. And I'm going to come in here with my round nose pliers, trying to get it equal, even. So if you take a look at it, just make sure that it's looking symmetrical. Kind of looks like little eyes or something of an owl. So the wire here, let's just make sure it's on the same kind of equal line here. And we're going to bend it to the back, and let's look that it's still looking equal. Okay, that's good. So 1 wire at a time. I'll start with this wire here on the right. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to pull it through while holding it here and pinching it so it does not move out of place. Okay, and so you can either do it with your fingers or you can get your pliers involved to make this a nice tight little wrap like this. The wire is wrapping around the edge just like that. Okay, and see, it didn't move out of place because we were pinching this down and holding it with our thumb and forefinger. All right, so same thing on this side, grabbing that wire, pulling it through, just gonna push on that, make a nice little tight wrap like that. Let's kind of straighten the wire. So you can use a little piece of cloth so the wire doesn't hurt your fingers. I have a little video demonstrating how I straighten wire, but also you can just run it through your fingers and then see we've straightened it and got those little bends out, because it has bends from us pulling it through the frame. So here's what it's looking like so far. These have been tied down to the frame so they don't move anymore. So what I'm gonna do now, one side at a time, is I'm gonna make a loop. This loop I'm gonna make manually without using my round nose pliers because I want it to be kind of a larger loop, which is bigger than I'll be able to make with my round nose pliers, like that. And what I'm going to do now is curve it in the other direction here, and this time I'm going to make a loop that's a little bit small. So you could use your round nose pliers this time. Let me grab those. Since it's nice and small, it will kind of fit on them. I can use them to help make that loop. All right, so here is what I am trying to achieve here on one side, and now the real hard part is replicating that on the other side and having it be as similar as possible. So I'm just looking at that side, trying to get that loop to be similar. I think it's a little bit smaller, isn't it? Well, I don't know if I can enlarge it at this point, so I'll see if I can, there we go. I think that's similar enough. I'm gonna start curving, getting ready for that other smaller loop. And this is where I can use my pliers to help. So just bending around the pliers to make that loop, and it's a little bit bigger. And then the other side, so I can kind of pinch it closed and maybe just move it. You can move it as well. I'm trying to get it to look the same. Now it looks smaller than the other side. Let's see. Yeah, it needs to be a smidge higher. That looks good. I think that looks good. So what I'm gonna do is, you can kind of line up the loop with the edge of the wire, and then I'm gonna bend this. And that's what I'm gonna do to try and keep it the same on both sides. And then here in the back, where I have that bend, it's gonna press down on that. I think that maybe this needs to be ever so slightly down. It's hard to be a perfectionist with this, isn't it? All right, so we are going to trim the wire here in the back and leave a little end. So that we can press down on that little end. So I'm just gonna come in here with my pliers. This moves. So you just wanna push down on it and then take that little wire end, press it down in there. The wire is going into itself. That end of the wire is going into the wire itself, so you don't see it from the front, if you know what I mean. And then same thing here. Take that end, press it down in there, and let's press down on it. And here is what it looks like. And from the back. And feel free to put your own twist on this and make different kinds of loops, or if you don't like loops, you can maybe just like crisscross the wires. There's different things that you can do with this. So now is the point where I'm going to embellish this by adding a bead in the center. So to add the bead, I'm going to be using a little piece of that 26 gauge wire, just several inches long. And this bead will fit nicely kind of around here, like that. So we'll be attaching it here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take an end of my wire and I'm going to attach it just right here to this wire. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to wrap it around a few times here. Oops. There we go. You can see the little loops forming. Let me tighten that up. So that's 3 little wraps. It's good to do it a bunch of times because it'll just mean your bead is really securely attached. So this is number 4. And this is number 5. And so this will be number 6, but we will finish at number 6. And to do that, I'm going to trim my wire, but leave a little tiny end like this, too short, so that it doesn't stick all the way through to the back. You want it to just kind of end here on the edge. So when we press down on it, you can't see the wire end from the front, but here on the back, you don't see it as well because it's too short to stick through all the way to the back. You can kind of see it. If you look, you can see the actual end, but it doesn't stick out. You can't feel it. That's what I mean. All right, so let's tighten that up. Let's move it up here. And now we can go ahead and take our bead and slide that on. All right, here it is, just like that. So this will dangle. Now we just have to attach this side here. So I'm going to take the wire, put it through this little gap here, just like that. Pull that through. This wrap moved down a little bit, so I'm just going to move it up. The bead is just kind of flopping around, but that's okay. And there we go. Just want to make sure that it's in the right area, positioned correctly there, where I want my bead. It's not, you know, too low, it hasn't moved down. So now I'm going to take that wire, work it through, form a loop, and just keep going with it, kind of how we did on the other side there. All right, so that's 3. So put it to the back and then bring it to the front. So that's 4. Let's do 5. And the last one here. All right, so this will be 6. So it'll match the other side. Let's tighten that up. So we're just gonna trim that. Again, leave a little tiny wire end. And with our pliers, push that wire end down. So it's just here on this very edge. All right. And now our little bead kind of dangles in the middle here. You can adjust a little tiny bit. So it's, there we go. Mine was kind of lopsided there for a second. And here is what that looks like. All right, so here it is next to that other one that I had made with a round bead. So the round bead, as you can see here, is attached to these bigger loops here so that it fits in that middle area. And it also is a little bit smaller in size compared to this one. It just turned out that way. And another thing is this bail is woven because I wanted this to be an all round wire tutorial. But here I was feeling lazy and I used just half round wire and I wrapped it around to make that sort of bail instead. So those are some choices for you. Hopefully that kind of gives you some ideas of how to do this type of pendant in a slightly different way. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please leave me a like down below. And don't forget to subscribe. I post new videos every weekend. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.